It's officially September, and even though it's still well over 90 degrees and today has a heat index of almost 100, believe it or not, it's fall in eastern North Carolina. We've got a little bit of cleanup to do on this old cedar, but we're going to try to get it worked and hopefully get some oats and some other things planted today for cover crop. Stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel of Purpose-Driven Homestead. Today, it's a Saturday and I am trying to get a little bit of work done. We did deliveries this morning. Now I'm trying to get a little bit of seeding done. Our pastures look rough, and it's just because we haven't had rain in about a month, maybe a little more than that now. And it's kind of the dog days of summer. Even though it's technically already September, kind of fall's getting started, it's still really, really hot here and really, really dry. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to try to do some overseeding. This is a no-till seeder, so we're going to go through and I'll show you how it works, but essentially we're going to poke holes in the ground, we're going to drop some seed, and then hopefully when the rain comes here, we're supposed to maybe get some rain in a couple of days. It's like 60% chance, and when they say that, it usually means it's not going to rain, but hopefully we get a little bit of rain out of that deal, and if that happens, that'll give an opportunity for the seed to get wet, hopefully germinate while it's still got some warmth, and then come up, so we'll have some cover crop for our cows when it gets a little bit colder. Now what we're going to try to put into the ground today is some of this Kentucky 32. This is endophyte free, so this is the kind that should not have any issues with endophytes. Regular fescue can have some real issues for cattle, so this is something we're going to use to avoid that. Then over here we've got some rye, and then this is actually oats. Actually the bag got a little bit busted, I'll have to pick that up, but right here we've got some oats that we're going to sow. And so all of this right here, not just these 3 bags, but all of this stuff is going to go in there. We've got quite a few bags sitting in the trailer, and we're going to try to mix this together and seed it with this seeder right here. Now we have quite a bit of seed stored up in our trailer here. So towards the front, we've got most of the seed that I'm going to be messing with today. We've got our Kentucky 32. Then I've got all of that rye. I've even got some other stuff in here that I saved over. But that's where all this is going to be. So you can see this isn't just a 2 or 3 minute thing or even a couple of bag thing. We're going to be sowing probably about 15 acres today. Here's some of the oats that we have. These are black oats, and I've got some regular oats over there. So we'll see kind of if there's any difference, maybe plant some of each. Now before I get anything done, I've got to clean the cedar out. One of the things is I tried to clean it out. I got a screwdriver in there and everything before I parked it from a few months ago when I used it last. But no matter how clean I get it, there's always a few seeds left, and they tend to germinate in the gear section. So I got to go over there and clean it out, maybe blow it out, see if I can't get this thing ultra clear, because if I don't, the seeds won't fall through properly. So even though I cleaned it out before I parked it, there's still a little bit of maintenance that you need to do before you kick this off. This is the less glamorous side of things right here. This is where a few seeds were still stuck in here when I sat this cedar up. So a few of them sprouted, so I got to clear them out first. Every single one of them, you kind of see some of this is just sprouts that sprouted up from moisture. Now you can see in here, this is just some of the seeds that were left. I had to kind of get them out of the way and get some of this out. I really cleaned this out really well when I put it up. But there's still going to be a few seeds at the bottom unless you're just vacuuming them out. Now what I'm doing right now is actually running this thing empty. It's got tines at the bottom, and those tines wind up turning, and they turn the gears, so there's kind of there's no PTO on this particular piece of equipment. Everything's done by the tractor pulling it forward, and those tines moving, grab it to the ground, then turn gears. That helps drop the seed, and it moves it all along. So what I'm doing right now is I'm moving this stuff, kind of dragging it empty, to get some of the trash that's in the gears out, some of that old seed, just kind of grind it up and move it out to the best of my ability. Then I'm now going to go blow it out and try to clean it out a little bit with an air compressor. You can see even after I've cleaned it out several times with a screwdriver, there's still trash in here, and I've got to try to see if I can blow this out. So I'm getting an air compressor, I'm going to get in here. But let me show you those gears I'm talking about. If you look right down there, you can kind of see the gears that turn as we get through here. So those gears will turn and kind of move the seed through, and that's what makes this drop down. Let me show you the rest of the mechanics here. So there's several sets of hoppers here, so kind of depending if it's coming out of these bigger hoppers right here, those just drop straight down through that hole. And there's a little slanted, I don't see it, but there's a slanted piece of sheet metal right here. It slants down, it kind of levels them out, lets them drop, as opposed to being in a little pile, it kind of spreads them a little bit. Same thing happens here in reverse. These tubes come down and then it hits this and kind of spreads out on this flat piece of metal. You can see here a little bit better. It comes down, hits here, and then spreads down. Now, depending on what you're putting in here, there's actually 3 different hoppers. This one's for small seed, things like, I don't know, Egyptian weed, or you can actually see the calibration charts here. So over here, you got things like carpet grass, alfalfa, millet, rapeseed, all kinds of sorghum, you know, kind of sorghum and millet are kind of the same thing. But anyway, that's what goes into this small hopper. Then you can see over here the adjustments are, and this is basically poundage per acre. But here's kind of like Kentucky 31, which we'd use for our Kentucky 32, ryegrass, which we have some today. And then over here, even bigger stuff for some rye and some other oats and things like that. So each one of these hoppers can be filled differently, and you can drop all 3 types of seed at the same time. Here's the crank that you use for adjustment for these. Here's a smaller adjustment here you have to use a wrench for, but that's how you adjust the amount. It gives you a number here, kind of in increments, these quarter, half, 3/4, 1, all the way up. That corresponds to the measurements on this thing. So as you crank that, or as you adjust this with a wrench, that allows this to kind of move in and out. It changes the spacing. So that's what drives how much you put out per acre. All right, so I've got my little air hose here. We're going to use this to try to clean some of this stuff out. So let's see how it works. Now I'm also going to come in here and I'm going to blow out these individual tubes on the bottom side as well, because there's some gears down there that I want to make sure are cleaned out as well. All right, the small hopper looks like it's pretty cleaned out. It's looking good. Let's see if we can move on to the bigger hopper. All right, so these are going to be a little bit tougher because we got a lot bigger hole and a lot more junk in here. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but that is way cleaner on these 2 than say one right there. Now, ignore this stuff. This stuff right here is loose. It's going to get blown around, but I'm really talking about inside that gear down there. That's what we're talking about. So that in here, that's where it's really dirty, but over here, nice and clean. Whew! I am way dirtier now than I was a little while ago, but we got this thing cleaned out. I think it looks a lot better. Let me show you what it looks like. All right, this is all loose stuff, but all of the actual mechanisms in there, they're all cleaned out now. This is just loose stuff. It'll fall through. Let me show you what I'm talking about when I said why we needed to clean this out some. Now, if you look down here, here's a great example. This is literally dirt that's just been sitting in here for who knows how long, right? And this dirt just kind of, it crumbles, it gets into everything, it kind of cakes in there and then blocks holes, so we don't get the right seed distribution that we need in some of this stuff. So getting some of this stuff out of here is important. And you can see that there's more of it just kind of down there. So we really wanted to get this cleaned out. But as you can see down here on this side, it looks a lot better. This will all go down and kind of go out the chutes now that we move, and these things start turning, it starts vibrating, it'll vibrate in those holes and it'll go down. Now it's probably important to note that this is a borrowed seeder. So it's actually a good friend of mine from church that let me borrow it, and I want to make sure that we return everything in at least as good a condition as it was when we borrowed it. And so in this case, I know he's a really fastidious person. He wants to make sure everything's clean and wants to make sure everything's in working order. And this, I think, actually hopefully is even cleaner than when we got it from him. We'll get some of that stuff out, kind of a fall cleaning before he uses it. So it's just a way for us to kind of pay it forward here a little bit and do the right thing, because we want to make sure that he's more than happy to lend it to us next time we need it as well. So that's why we wanted to go through and make sure we cleaned everything out, got it into good working order. Now, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I keep an old barrel out here that gets full from rainwater, and I keep a little bucket out here that gets full of rainwater. This I leave uncovered. At this particular barn, I don't have any water, and so I always want to make sure I have, you know, like a 5-gallon bucket of water just standing by in case there's a fire or anything crazy that I might need to use it for. And then I have this one. This I keep covered so there's never any algae or anything in it. I can just take a little bit of this, rub my hands together, and that is some hot water. But it's not drinkable, but for things like this where I want to wash up and get some of this dirt off my arm, and it's It's nice for that. Again, this is not drinkable water. This is not potable water. This is just water to have in an emergency. If I needed to fill up something, a bucket to get something started, this is just some water for that. It's not super clean, but it's also not super dirty, so it's really just kind of emergency stash. This is probably the best use for it right there. Now I'll cover it up. That way I don't have to worry about mosquito larvae or anything else or algae growing in here. And this will be a good spot. I'll leave that for next time I need it. Little things like this on a farm make a big difference, because you never know when you might need water at a barn for any type of purpose, and at least you've got something. Now when I'm thirsty, this is what I keep in the tractor. I don't have enough money to buy a Yeti cup or anything like that. Those things are just super expensive. But this right here, I've used these for probably going on, I don't know, 7 years now maybe. Love these things. The kids all have one. My wife has one. I have one. They are the best for someone who's not looking to spend Yeti prices. But these things are awesome. I will put a link in the description below for these. But as you can hear, there's been ice in this all day since last night, and sitting here in the tractor, still got ice in it. Love these things. This is where my drinkable water is. Now, it's really important in a regenerative agriculture model like we have here that we don't use any type of tillage on our fields and on our pastures. It destroys a lot of things when you start doing tilling. It kills microorganisms, it gets rid of earthworms, it dries out the soil, it allows for it to be exposed to the sun, which winds up drying it out faster. Covered ground is going to keep a lot more moisture in than uncovered ground. So when you do that, it gets a lot drier and it causes all kinds of problems with weeds and other things. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on non-till processes when we're trying to reseed our pastures. So to that end, guys, this is the action part of that no-till process. See this roller here with all of these knives in it. This makes holes in the ground as the seed is dropping. There's actually two of these. There's one here on the back. And if we walk around here, there's actually one on the front as well. So there's two of these that kind of sit, one's, you know, kind of in this area and the other's kind of sitting right back here. And these make holes in the ground. Then the seed will kind of drop down here like we talked about before. And then these tines down here kind of dust over and cover in the dirt that and knock the seeds into the hole. Then this roller comes behind it and kind of flattens it out and hopefully covers it in with a little bit of dirt as well. And that's what gives it the coverage it needs to hopefully then sprout up if we have any rain. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the $64 question. Are we going to get any rain anytime soon? It's been over a month, like I said before, and we really need it, especially if we're going to be putting out the seed. This is hundreds of dollars worth of seed that we're trying to invest in, and we're taking a chance by putting it in. All right, so we're definitely going to fill this hopper up today, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to use this one. This is primarily going to be used for our turnip seed, if I have any, and I have not a lot of that, but I have even less of the alfalfa seed. And the alfalfa seed, it's like buying gold, guys. I mean, it's actually golden color. It's like a yellowish gold color, and I think they do that because of how much it costs. Each 40-pound bag is like $160 to $180 depending on what point in the year you get it. At least that's what it is here, and that's getting it from a wholesale place. So, and it doesn't have a great germination rate, but when it grows, it is some of the best pasture for our animals. So we're taking a risk. We literally have if I put out 2 bags that'll cover a field of alfalfa, I've got, you know, nearly $400 in the 2 bags. So that's a lot. And then the turnip seeds are a lot less, but I don't have any of those either. They're a one-time crop and hopefully give us some overwinter product. That's what the turnip's going to be used for. That'll be good forage for the cattle when other things aren't growing. The turnips do well in cold weather. So not really a standard crop you'd plant during the regular year, but during the fall for a winter cover crop, turnips are pretty good and they're cheap. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of fall fescue in. It's not really fall fescue, but fall fescue does best during the fall. So we're going to call it fall fescue just because it's cooler weather grass. It does well during all the year, but when dry, hot season starts, this stuff isn't the best, but it'll start coming back now after some of the summer grasses don't do well. Next is going to be our oats, and again, these things are going to be something that we hopefully can get some decent cover crop out of. So we just kind of have to see. This bag ripped on me, so kind of doing this the hard way. Next thing is going to be some of this winter rye. Now I finished this off with some fescue again, and I left a little bit of space because what we don't want is for all the fescue to come out and then all the oats to come out and so on and so forth like we layered it. So we're going to actually mix this up by hand. We're going to try to get down there and pull some of the oats up. Just kind of mix this in a little bit so it's a little bit more uniform. It's not going to be perfect. We don't want to hurt ourselves. There's some of those augers down there. But we're going to mix it up a little bit, just kind of go back and forth, pulling some of the oats and seeds up from the bottom. Doing the same, moving some of that stuff down around. So that's really the goal here, is just to mix this up so that we're getting a good consistent mix across the whole field. See, when you're a farmer, you still get to play in the sand or in something that's like sand. Now, if I was a big farmer and I had fancy tools, I wouldn't have to do this, but that's not how we are. We are a small farmer. We do everything by hand. This is a barred piece of equipment. Everything that we do around here, we try to do small scale and with as little technology as possible, just because we can't afford big technology. That's what we have to do around here. So, all right, we've got that mixed up now. Some of that fescue's coming off. Now let's see what we can do about this front hopper right here. Now I don't have a ton of it. I've got a piece of bag here of alfalfa seed, you can kind of see there. And then I've got a piece of bag of turnip seeds here as well. There's a little hole in it. So I'm just going to try to put those in here, and hopefully we'll have enough to get most of a hopper. Kind of a mix and matching scenario here. Got a little hole at the bottom of my bag here, so I got to be kind of careful how I pour it. Now the turnip seeds are black. You can kind of see the turnip seeds are like a black color here, kind of a reddish, brownish black. And that's going to be in stark contrast to the alfalfa seeds. All right, here's our alfalfa seeds. I told you, these things are like gold, and I think that's how they color code them too. So we're going to actually put our alfalfa seed in here next. This does better in cool weather too, so hopefully you get better germination rate here. But it's all dependent upon water. If we don't get any rain, we're out of luck. All right, so that was about a half a bag of alfalfa. That means that was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $80 that I just put out. That hurts my soul right there. All right, we're gonna mix this up again, same concept. The turnip seeds seem to germinate really easily, and I think that's just a nature of the product. Alfalfa, it just seems to be a harder thing to germinate, and a lot of people can't get it to grow at all. So I think it's just hopefully we can get some to grow this year. If not, we may have to come up with a different plan, because I'm not going to keep buying seed that doesn't germinate. And I can't predict the weather, and I can't irrigate. Now, I had one of our well-meaning customers ask me a question the other day, and it was a really good question. She said, hey, why don't you just irrigate your fields? It's been so dry lately. Why don't you just get irrigation out there? And I just was trying to explain to her, I said, you know, we have pastures that are, you know, acres and acres each. It's not a huge farm, but to try to irrigate it, you'd have to have either one of those rolling mechanisms that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'd never be able to get your money back on something like that if you had the money to invest in it to start off with. A lot of those guys actually get loans from the government to put them in, but it's not feasible for our property. Even if we had the money, even if we could get a loan, it's not logical. It just doesn't work. It'd be the situation where our fields are set up, how they're set up, the length of them. It doesn't make sense. And then trying to take hoses or, you know, get hose bibs out there and bury line and try to do it that way, it also doesn't make sense. So as good of an idea as it might be on paper or in theory, we're relying upon God and His timing for putting water on the earth. And right now, it's just not been, for us at least, His time. So we have had a really dry month and a half or so. Going to put this down with faith that it's going to rain here in the next couple of weeks and we might get some good germination. So here's a funny story, guys. I actually was going to try to use that seeder with my father's old Ford, and it's a little too small for my tractor, honestly. That's almost a 70 horsepower tractor. This is about a 35 horsepower tractor. So I was hoping that I could actually use this tractor because I had a big mower and things like that that would have made this thing a lot easier just to get on and off this tractor versus taking the big mower off of my other tractor. But when I put it on here, I couldn't even lift it up. It actually started lifting the front of the tractor up. It doesn't have any weights in the front of the tractor, so that was kind of a bummer because then I had to go and take the mower off and repeat everything. So this has been a lot longer process than I had originally anticipated. But I've got it on there, and that's what we're going to use today. Now, if you look here, this is as low as the arms go on my tractor, and so it's still, this should be in the ground a little bit more. I can tinker with this top link a little bit, and I have, but all it does is pitch it forward a hair more, and then that's it. It just becomes loose, and it's because these arms right here won't go down any further. The arms on my father's tractor will actually go a lot further down than these will, and that's just because it's a smaller tractor. It sits lower to the ground. So because of that, this thing is at a constant angle. I think something closer to maybe a 45 horsepower tractor would probably be in that sweet spot. Maybe something that would have a weight on the front up there if it was a little smaller tractor, but this thing's pretty heavy for what it is. But yeah, this is optimal, but you know, listen, again, someone's letting me borrow this out of the goodness of their heart, and I can make this work, so we're going to. Now, I do not want to have to come back over to the trailer where I have everything at. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to carry out about 4 more bags, 2 of each type with me, just sitting up here. Once I get in the gate in that field, I'll have then these, I'll drop them off, and I'll be able to refill the hopper if I need to while I'm out there. I'll just drop them off right at the gate. That way I don't have to come back in and out of the gate. Our livestock guardian dog's in there, and I do not want to have to try to get somebody to hold her multiple times to make that trip. So what could go wrong with this, right? All this stuff sitting on top, riding out there. Yeah, I'm sure this will be fine. Might be famous last words. Yes, there's the fierce guard dog. She would have gotten out had my wife not held the gate and held her and opened the gate for me, but look at that, it worked. We got all our bags out here now. I can just take them off and just hopefully toss them off to the side and come back for them as I need to. Everybody's always wanting us to take video and show pictures of our Bos Shepherds to see how big they are, kind of how much they've grown. This girl is getting pretty large. Come here, Vesta. Come here. Yes. This girl's getting pretty big now. You can see how big she is compared to me when she stands up beside me. She, if I'm on my knees, she kind of looks me eye to eye. She's a good girl. She does great with her animals, especially with our cattle and chickens. So she's kind of the primary dog that guards our chickens. This is actually out here right now with our pasture raised poultry. So we've got both our turkeys and our chickens out here on pasture. She keeps the hawks away. She keeps everything away. So we haven't lost a chicken to predation since we put them out here with her. Now she's the leaner of the 2 dogs that we have. She just has always run on the lean side. Her sister is a lot thicker than she is, but she runs much leaner, and she tends to stay out here. She loves to be out here with the chickens all the time, so she always runs it off because she's always running chasing something down, a hawk in the field or what have you. So she is a good girl. All right guys, I'm going to take a pause for the cause because the cows are mooing at me, and I'm going to move them while I'm out here. I'm just in the next field. They're going to come into the last paddock over in this field, and tomorrow they'll come into this area over here, which is the next field. It's separated from a fence right here. I'm going to show you what I mean. If you notice, the cows are over there. They're in that paddock. They need to come into this paddock where the little ones have ducked under the fence and come in here. Then there's a gate right here that I'll let them in tomorrow. So this will be their paddock for the next 24 hours. Tomorrow evening, I'll let them come from there into this paddock over here, and we'll start the process back around that way. And we'll go ahead and seed this tonight. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is fescue, and you can hear it kind of crunching under my feet, guys. It has not rained, and we need it bad. We move these cows every 24, sometimes even 12 hours. We move them depending on the paddock and how good it is and how much rain we're having. But we need rain, and we need it bad because this stuff is established, but it won't grow at all without any rain. As I mentioned, the young ones, they're small enough they can duck underneath the fence, the paddock fence here, and they're already out. These are our 2 that were born early this year. The one on the right is actually the one that was rejected by the mama, but you can see he's actually doing really well. He's probably a month or so older than the one on the left, but those are our 2 calves that were born this year, 2 steers. We banded them, and they duck under, but I mean, look at how dry this grass is, guys. It's they tear it up fast. The clover's all wilted and dry and crunchy. And that's Scoo. She's making it known that she's ready to go. So let's set this up, and I'm gonna show you how I switch paddocks real quick. I hear you, girl. Here's the command I always give them, and they know when it's time. Woo cow! Woo cow! Come on, girls! Woo cow! Woo cow! Come on, girls! Come on, go! Come on, 3. And that's how it's done, guys. They're happy out here, and this is Luna, our other livestock guardian dog. She's out here checking them out, making sure what's going on, making sure everybody's safe. You can see she blends right in there. She's not excitable. She's not chasing anybody. She's just out here checking them out. Make sure everybody's in a good spot. Funny thing is, she's almost as big as the calves. They're right, Luna. Good girl. Oh, you're just a big old cuddle bug. That's what you are. Good girl. Good girl. That's a good girl. Now you may notice that we've got 1, 2, and way over there, 3 of our dairy cows running in here with these beef cows. And the reason is because we have 1 bull, and I got to find him, see where he's at. He's probably on that other side over there. Yeah, you can kind of see his blocky shoulders and head. He's that one right over there. He's a younger bull. He's last year, so you can see he's going to be a big boy. But he's our bull. And you know, I don't really worry about him so much. He's pretty good. I actually really like this breed. He's not into me touching him, but he's also not scared of me in the sense that he's going to get crazy and rambunctious. So, but these girls right here, this is Maggie. That's Jasmine over there. And then that's Rose over here. So the idea is that will allow us to get these 3 cows bred and into milk, because obviously we drink it at our house, and then for any of our customers that we have that use it as well for pet milk. But in order to do that, we've got to get them bred. I actually had a question the other day. Somebody asked me, said, hey, don't Jersey cows produce milk all the time? No, they don't. Jersey cows produce milk when they've had a baby. So if they haven't had a baby, they dry up. And that's just kind of the way things go. So we have to keep rebreeding them. Then the cows that come from these girls, they'll be half Jerseys and half Murray Grey. And those types of cattle are going to be half, they're going to be crossbred. And so they will have more milk than a Murray Grey, so they'll be a better milk breed in that sense. But they will be larger and better frame. So Jerseys are pretty bony. They're not bred for that. They're bred for having milk. These guys are bred for having beef, and so in a sense, you can see that these guys have a lot more meat on their frames than the Jerseys do. Even given the same forage, it's just in the nature of a Jersey to be a little bit bonier. It's just the way they go. So a cross between the 2 of them will actually make a good animal that can be used as a dual purpose breed. So if it's a female heifer, we might even keep it to produce milk for us. But if it's a bull, we'll definitely band it and take it for beef. So it's a win-win for us. It's a lot cheaper process than trying to have somebody come out and do some type of artificial insemination kind of deal. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way with our bull. You can see Luna is a little thicker than her sister. Her sister's right over there, Vesta. She's a lot leaner. They came from the same pack, same parents. They're sisters out of the same litter. They just are shaped very different, have different faces. She's got a darker face over there. Luna has a lighter face. She's bigger bone, thicker. Vesta's a lot faster. And Luna's a lot more, she's a lot more of the protector. She's first one to growl, first one to bark, the first one to go out to meet something. She's bigger. She's just a lot more to her. But Vesta beats her off the blocks every single time. And we keep them separate because if we didn't, there would absolutely be fireworks. These girls have to be separated by a fence. As long as they're separated by a fence, they're good to go. If not, we'd have a problem on our hands. So they do best when they're on their own. All right, so it's getting kind of late at this point. This is the field we're going to be trying to get done. I got to get it all the way around. There's 6 paddocks in here. I'll try to see if I can get an aerial shot, a drone shot of kind of what this field looks like in here. But the idea is that we'll try to get these done. I've got the paddocks open over several of these, and I'll make my way around opening the rest of the paddocks and then closing behind me. But we'll seed each one and kind of see how it goes. Now, once we're inside here, I've got the back glass open, but there's no adjusting this without getting out of the tractor. So it's really just kind of just go. And we'll check it periodically, see how the stuff's coming out, see what the seed looks like. When I say see what it looks like, it's just kind of see how fast it's coming down, if I need to go slower, faster, that type of thing. So we're going to see how this thing works. Let's get started. Now I've got my setting as far down as I can go. My arms on my tractor as far as they'll go down. So we've got this thing going back here. Now the real challenge is you can't see it, so I can't tell whether it's laying down good seed or not. The only way that I can really see that is to look at how much seed is coming out once we get to the end of a row. And I can kind of see exactly how much seed is left in there and what's falling out. Recently we put out a video about putting out manure onto some of our pastures, and this was actually the paddock that we focused on. We put the most in this paddock of any of the paddocks in this field, just because this is the poorest soil. I had pine trees right here by it. It was really acidic, so we're going to probably have to drop some lime here this year as well. But this is the worst pasture. So we're going to hopefully see some results as we put out the seed and have some rain if we can get some. But you can notice that there's grass out here, but it's just really dry, guys, and a lot of weeds. Now this is an area where the cows had gotten to the water trough, and so it's a little beaten down, not a lot of grass in here. It's a great spot to be able to see what I'm putting out. And I backed up in here and drove forward. You can definitely see that we're putting out some of the alfalfa seed, and I'm confident the black ones, and these just stick out, the black ones from the turnips are in here as well, but I don't actually see any of the seeds, so that could be problematic. We kind of have to check that out. They're smaller, so these come out easier, but we'll just have to watch that a little bit as we start going. It's also easy to see that they're coming out here. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb, so we've got some that are kind of piling up and they're falling down on this middle part. So we know we're putting some of these out. All right, we just finished that first paddock, and I know it's kind of anticlimactic, right? Can't really see where I've done anything. What I have to do is essentially look to see where the tire tracks from the tractor are. Because it's so dry, it's laying down the grass, and I can see where my tracks were, and that's what I have to do in order to try to figure out where I've been. But I'm done with this paddock. Let's see how much seed we've used. All right, for this one, not bad. Definitely used some, but looks like it's putting it out the right ratio. This is probably coming out slow, a little slower than I want. So I may have to adjust the seed cup here to kind of crank this up. So let me do that real quick. All right, I adjusted this in. I think this thing's been kind of worked on in the past, maybe some welding done here. I can't get this past this piece. I've cranked as much as I can, but now it won't go past. But I still got some more that I could open it up. So I'm not sure if that was something that was made that way or if it was kind of worked on later on. But we've opened it up as much as we can open it now, so we'll go from there, see if it doesn't put it out. I mean, it's putting it out, right? We were up close to the top here, and it's definitely throwing some out. It's just not throwing out quite as much as I was hoping it would, so we'll see. Now, this paddock that I'm in right now, it actually has quite a bit more clover. It gets shaded earlier in the day by these trees, so this corner tends to be a little bit cooler. The cows like to come out here and hang out when they're in this paddock, but this one does seem to have more clover. It's looking better. So maybe we'll get some germination back here in this corner, just because I think there's more grass, and that means there's a little bit more moisture. This is a little bit swampier area back here, so the water tends to, I'll call it, roll off a little bit slower when it does rain. It doesn't matter if it's not raining, but anyway, we'll see how it does in this field out here. But this one is different. It's got a lot more, I'll call it, we put a lot more hay bales in here, so it's got a lot more mulch. We did in fact put manure in this one as well, That's the one I was in just a second ago, but this is the paddock I'm in now. We'll see how it goes. So one of the issues that I deal with pretty often when it comes to how we establish our pasture, this was all cropland like you guys know, and the reality is it's a lot of clay. It's basically a clay and sand mix. So that's why we're adding in all the organics, adding in all the carbon that we can to try to help create some topsoil that's been lost over the years and that's been stripped of its nutrients. But the challenge with that is because it's so hard, even a drill like this, even a seed drill like this, it just won't penetrate very well. I literally putting all the pressure of the tractor down on there now because the tractor sits so high, I can't get quite as much pressure as a shorter tractor would have. So that's just the nature of the beast here. But man, I'm telling you, it's I've looked behind me and it's the divots that it's making are really shallow. I was hoping for something a lot deeper than that. So that's going to be challenging. That's going to be a bit of a problem if I'm honest. Okay, we just finished 2 paddocks. We're about to start on the 3rd. And I thought I'd try to check in and see where we are with our seeds. All right, so that looks a lot better. That's looking more like what we were trying to put out, I think, per acre. So this is now drawing it down pretty nicely. So that adjustment made a big difference. All right, as per usual, this stuff is completely out. The gold dust is all that's left in here. So we'll probably won't refill that. We'll just let that go. All right, so this thing did a great job. We're going to continue to work tonight. I still have got all that over there to get done. So that's more to do tonight. Who knows if I'll get it all done or not tonight, but it's getting dark fast on me. I hope that's helped you guys learn how we do the overseeding and the prep for winter around here so that we have some cover crop and hopefully a little bit for the cows to eat as they graze through and things kind of grow up. Again, we used rye, we used oats, and then we planted fescue, which will be a perennial that'll come back every year. The other 2 are annuals. We're just going to use those for cover crop. They're a little cheaper. And then the smaller seed that we planted was alfalfa and then turnips. Alfalfa is also perennial. Turnips, however, they'll come up one time. It'll be palatable for the cows to eat it during the winter time. It gets sweeter during that time of year. Right now they won't want to touch it because it's got a bitter taste to it, but it'll just be something for them to forage on as they're kind of moving around, and it hopefully will reduce the amount of hay that we have to feed during the winter. With that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see what we're doing here on this regenerative farm, this 1st generation regenerative farm, then you got to subscribe, guys. It's the only way you're going to know what's going on. And don't forget to hit the bell. If you don't have that bell on, we're going to put out videos and you're never going to know about it. So guys, make sure you do all that. But we are so grateful to have you here today. We hope you have a blessed day, and we will see you next time on the Purpose Driven Homestead.